What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it again with a pre-nursing journey update. It's been about a week and a half since I've done an updated video, and just wanted to talk about two different things. One, my classes, and two, another college that I went to an information session for. So let's start with the classes. For those of you that don't know, I'm in statistics and microbiology right now for the summer mini B session at Florida Southwestern, their Charlotte campus in Punta Gorda, Florida. Last week I took one exam in stats and I got 100% on it, so that's good. And then in microbiology I've actually taken 3 exams since my last video, and I've gotten 100% on one of them, 90% on my midterm, and then I'm still waiting on my grade for the most recent exam. So yesterday, July 17th, 2018, I went to an information session for the State College of Florida, and from here on out I'm just going to refer to them as SCF. The information session was to go over their associate's degree in nursing, the basic program, and then they also covered or touched on their LPN to RN nursing program. But I'm going to be talking about the basic program for those that are interested in that route. So I had already tried to make a video on this before, but I feel like it came off really negative, so that's not my intent. My intent is just to inform people about the application process, and that way, if you live a little bit ways away, you don't have to run down there for an information session. State College of Florida, if you haven't looked into it, has an incredibly high passage rate for the NCLEX-RN. They are in the high 90s on average, like 97-98% passage rate, which is awesome. FSW, Florida Southwestern, they're in like the low to mid 80s, which is about the national average. So SCF is well above the national average on their passage rate, which kind of speaks to the quality of their program, right? And I believe they had 5 straight quarters of 100% passage rate. So those statistics can be a little misleading, and I'll talk about that later. But I really want to talk about the application process and the admissions. So SCF has 2 campuses where they teach the associate's nursing program: Bradenton and Venice. They accept 40 applicants, or they accept 40 applicants at each location, so 80 total for the program, both the fall and the spring. So they have the program starts every fall and every spring, so they will have application periods for both. So the application period for the term starting fall 2018, so coming up, that application period was in May. The application period for the start of spring 2019 is going to be August 13th through September 14th, okay? They may extend it. I guess it all depends on how many applicants they get, but I imagine they're going to be getting a lot, and the reason for that is they recently decided to stop requiring the TEAS exam in order to apply. So that took effect the last application period, so May. And so this will only be the second application period where they do not require the TEAS. With that said, your admissions is going to rely heavily on your GPA and the pre-nursing courses that are required. So at SCF, there are 4 prerequisite courses that need to be completed in order to apply. So before you can even apply, you have to complete these 4 courses, okay? And you have to have at least a 3.0 GPA cumulative between those 4 classes. And the anatomy and physiology classes have to have a lab. I don't know. I've never seen any A&P classes without a lab, but I guess they're out there. So make sure that yours have a lab. So that's 14 credits for those 4 prerequisites in order to apply for the program. And then they have 5 Gen Ed requirements that need to be completed before you can graduate. I think it's before the final semester. And I'll link a website to that, the website to that down below, because navigating the SCF website can be tedious, I guess you can put it. But I'll just make it easier for you guys and put a link for it down below. Those aren't required. Those 5 courses, the Gen Ed courses, are not required in order to apply, but they will help you out with the application process tremendously. So what she said was, or once the application period has ended, they take the students who have applied that have completed all 9 courses, the prereqs and the Gen Eds, and they get admission priority, okay? So they won't even look at anybody else until they've gone through those who have completed the 9 courses, all right? So without the TEAS exam, this is what you're relying on, is those 9 courses and the GPA. So I would strongly encourage you to have a strong GPA between those courses and try to get as many done as possible, all right? And then once they've gone through those, and if they have, I'm assuming if they have a lot, that's pretty much it. They're gonna close the acceptance, and they'll fill all their seats with those individuals if they have enough. If not, then it moves on to, if there are still open seats, it moves on to whoever's completed the most amount of courses. And then they also take into account if you're currently enrolled. So for instance, after this summer, I'll have completed 7 of those 9 courses. I would still need a humanities, and I would still need human growth and development. So, and I'm at FSW, so if I enroll in human growth and development and humanities, but I apply to the nursing program at SCF, I would just have to show them proof that I'm currently enrolled, and that would kind of put me up on the list, because I would be getting those classes done prior to the start of the nursing program, right? But basically, if you've only the less amount of classes you've completed, that doesn't sound right. The less amount of classes you've completed, the lower on the list you are for the application process, okay? So that's how that works. If you've taken the TEAS, great. They'll want to know what your score was, but it has no bearing on whether or not you're accepted, okay? It's more for statistical analysis, so they can see if removing the TEAS as a requirement is going to have any type of impact on the applicant pool, okay? So just a caveat for those looking to apply for the spring, they've already filled seats with alternates from those who applied for the fall of 2018. So that makes it a little bit more competitive, because now there are less seats. There are less than 40. She didn't say how many, but there are less than 40. So that makes it a little bit more competitive. That being said, she said that they have had to fill seats at Venice with applicants from the Bradenton campus, because obviously they didn't fill them all at Venice. So, you know, it's definitely worth taking the chance, I think, if you're in the area. For me, it's about an hour away, Venice. Bradenton is roughly the same. So they're not super close. I like that they are it seems like a very, very good program. I love that they have such a high passage rate for the NCLEX. It's very appealing. But the distance is I think plays a big factor for me, because not only would I have to be driving an hour to get to class, the clinical sites are spread throughout Sarasota and Manatee counties, and those drives could be an hour and a half, depending on traffic, and that's a lot of driving. So I would have to be leaving early for some clinicals. If I'm at 6:30 in the morning, if my start time is 6:30 in the morning, I'd have to be leaving home probably at 4:30 in the morning because I hate being like just right on time. I have to be early, so I have to be leaving really early in the morning, and that's rough. I have a 2.5-year-old son, and I want to try and be home with him as much as possible. So if I can cut down on commute time, that would make a huge difference. FSW is only 35 minutes away. Most of the clinicals are in that area, so it probably wouldn't be driving more than an hour to get somewhere, which is pretty crucial. I think it's pretty vital. I think statistically, yeah, there's a pretty significant difference in the NCLEX passage rate, but I don't think that all of that responsibility doesn't fall on the school. It is also the student's responsibility to make sure that they are learning the material that they need to learn. So, for instance, I enrolled in a medical terminology class for the fall. It's not required for my program, but I feel like it's necessary if I want to do well in the program. If I know medical terminology ahead of time. I believe it falls on the responsibility of the student, responsibility of the nurse, to be the best nurse that they can possibly be, and take it upon themselves to go the extra mile and learn the material, learn extra material, so that you're well prepared for the NCLEX. Okay. It could also be that it could also be the type of students that tend to enroll. Maybe FSW, for whatever reason, attracts more students who aren't as strong of critical thinkers, problem solvers, because from what I understand, that's what the NCLEX is kind of structured as, critical thinking and problem solving questions. I don't know. There's also, like I said, the statistics could be a little misleading. So for FSW, we're talking about a much larger pool of test takers. So for instance, at the FSW has 3 campuses that they teach the nursing program at. Lee campus in Fort Myers in Lee County. They have 98 students, or 96 students in the spring of 2019. They had 96 students in the nursing program just at Lee campus. And then at their Collier campus in Naples and Collier County, they have 48 students accepted into that program. And then at Charlotte, they have 24. So 80 students at SCF versus, what is that? That's 72 plus 96, 168 total? Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's pretty significant. It's twice as many students. So I think that's fair to say that with a larger pool, the passage rate is going to go more towards the average, the population average, the national average. Also, with those statistics and those quarters, because they break up the year into 4 quarters, right? January through March, April through June, etc. It doesn't tell you how many people took the test. It just says the percent passed. So it could only be 1 or 2 people that took the test and they passed in like the 3rd or 4th quarter. There was one quarter where FSW got 40%. I think it was like the 4th quarter of 2015 or something. Maybe only 5 people took that test and only 2 passed. Like 5 is not a fair sample size, right? To judge the entire program on, in my opinion. So I would take those results with a grain of salt. But I will put the link for both for SCF, their NCLEX passage results for like the last, I think it's like last 6 or 7 years or something like that, down below, so that it's easier to find. It's on the Florida Department of Health page, but it can be a little tricky getting there. So I'll put that down below, and I'll also put it down for FSW for those that are interested. So at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to apply to FSW. I have a really strong T-score. My GPA is not as good as I'd like it to be honest. You know, I probably could have worked harder during my bachelor's, but you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I have to stick with the grades that I have. But it's not like they're horrible. Between those 9 classes, or 7 now, I think my GPA will sit around like 3.5 or something. So it's not horrible. But could it be better? Sure, it could be better. But again, with my T-score, I think I'm really competitive at FSW to get into the nursing program. And I'm actually looking forward to it. I love the Charlotte campus. It's a beautiful campus. It's small. It's intimate. The class sizes are smaller, which I feel is very important. If the class sizes become too big, then I feel like you just you can get lost in the sauce, as they used to say in the Army. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I was trying to make this video a little bit shorter, but I wanted to try and give you guys as much information as I possibly could. There's a lot more information, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will answer them to the best of my ability. If you have questions, like specific questions about their program and at SCF anyway, and classes, I would suggest going to an information session or reaching out to Julie, I believe it's Julie Darns, who's in charge of the program, so she will definitely help you out with that, answering those questions. But I can answer a lot of the questions about what they gave me at the information session. So if you have any of those, don't hesitate to ask. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.